Good morning, Nathan Goodrich with Pacific Northwest Team 3, giving you your operational morning update on the Camp Creek fire. So as I mentioned yesterday, we transitioned with the Great Basin Team Number 1, and so yesterday we spent quite a bit of time verifying what we actually have there on the ground and continuing on with the plan that Team 1 had put into place. So I'll start up in Division Alpha, and that's our northern division along the 12 road system. So between the 12 road, the 1211, and all things up here on the north end, crews are continuing to work on our primary line and also our alternate line with some contingency work and working out on the 1211, continuing to prep that road, and then moving it a little bit tighter along the fire's edge. There's been some mop-up that's been occurring, lots of hazard tree removal, slash and debris removal from the line prep, and those kind of things have been going on here on Division Alpha. As you can see on the map, it's black on this corner, and that indicates containment. We're feeling really good about that piece of ground. And here in the middle, there's quite a bit of trees coming down, burned out trees that are fallen. Lots of hazard tree removal that needs to go on before we get people in on the ground to do the mop up. And so that's taking a little bit more time, quite a bit more heat in that area, as it was the most recently burned out area. So it's just taking some time for that area to burn out a little bit. And so it's very secure, but we're not quite ready to call that contained. Here in the middle of Division Alpha. Up here on this end, another little piece of containment. We're feeling really good about that piece there. So overall, Alpha is looking really good. As we move down into Kilo, kind of the same deal here on this constructed line. There's a hose lay in there. The crews have been mopping up along that edge, and that's looking really good. Still not quite ready to call that contained though, as there's a little bit of heat and some of those same hazards and such as I mentioned in Division Alpha. The roaded section on Division Kilo, that's looking real solid. A lot of good work's been done in there, and the crews are continuing to secure that area. As I mentioned yesterday, there's a natural rock scree right here, breaking the timber, just quite a bit of brush and stuff that the crews have utilized as our containment line as we drop down into Cedar Creek. And so that's kind of our northeastern edge of the fire here. There's a hose lay there, and that's looking really good as well and secure. As we move down through Kilo and start to break down into Division Papa, that's our unlined portion of the fire. This is the area where you drop into Cedar Creek. You get a lot of large old growth trees, lots of overhead hazards. It's very steep, rugged ground. We had some folks in there yesterday poking around and seeing if there's any way that we can get in there and go direct on this. The Devil's Club, the brush and that kind of stuff is well over folks' heads, and lots of deadfall and just a lot of work in that area. It's one thing to put one person in there to do some scouting, but to put a whole operation in there, hundreds of people to do that direct line in there, it's just not a good risk-based decision to do that at this time. So this was going to remain unstaffed and unlined on this northern piece of eastern piece of this incident, at least for the foreseeable future. Same kind of deal down here in Papa, not quite as rugged terrain, but still the South Fork drainage poses some issues for us. And as we move back down here towards the roaded section of Division Papa, the crews they've continued to go direct line to this point, and now they're looking to kind of compartmentalize this section here along this masticated line and kind of break that into some chunks for potential for some future firing if the weather is conducive, but likely that's just going to be an interior primary line. Although this is our primary, this is now going to be our primary, and we're going to try and hold that fire right here on this edge. And the crews are working in there, prepping and mopping up some of that stuff that they can get to safely, and that's what they're doing there in Papa. Both in Kilo and on Papa, there's still our primary lines out here, and there's still some contingency work going on the 14, the 12 road itself, and up here by the South Fork Snowtail. So all that prep's been put into place and is looking real solid. Moving back down into the rest of Division Papa, the eyebrows that we were talking about here, the crews have gone direct on that and put some hand line and hose lays in there, and they've been doing lots of good mop up, and so that's looking really secure, hence the reason why we turned it black on the map. As I mentioned a little bit yesterday, looking at the overall strategy for protection of the values at risk, looking at these black areas here in Papa and in Alpha, those areas we put the most effort into on this western edge to protect the Headworks facility and the Bull Run water facility there, and then the values at risk off to the southwest, the private land, the private industrial land, off here to the south, some of the communication sites. So that primary line and that primary strategy is working really well for protecting those values at risk. A little bit more contingency work and some biomass removal still going on down here on the 1401, and also going to be going on up here on the 1211 road, and that'll be pulled out to a holding site outside of the Bull Run. Initial attack, we're ready for assisting with initial attack with the local resources on the Mount Hood National Forest, as well as any of our cooperators, and that's in place across the fire. And just overall, the crews are going to be day 2 for Team 3, and the crews will be out there working hard and validating the plans that are in place, continuing to mop up, remove hazardous trees from their work areas, and a lot of that debris removal that we've been talking about, getting that out off the roads and out to a good place where we can provide that to the public in the future. So that's our operational update for today. Thank you.